Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is privacy and security and AI and business and silly news. Probably a little bit shorter of a news section this week, which is kind of good. So, of course, you can catch the show live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to see all of the comments in between and all of that fun stuff. And with this, though, let's go ahead and dive right on into the fun news so we can, at the end of the show, maybe feed a kitty cat that you would get a chance to see if you watch the show live. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive on in. So who'd you think that if you take a billionaire and you throw him in jail, take a billionaire, throw him in jail for a little bit, he starts singing like a jailbird. So once they throw him in the slammer for a little bit, let him go on some bail and keep him on a close leash, he all of a sudden starts responding to a whole bunch of law enforcement requests. So they have their first transparency report for the period of January 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2024. The number of fulfilled requests in the United States for IP addresses and or phone numbers is 14. So 14 were handed over out of a total 108 asks. Now, you have to remember that a lot of these asks were probably before he was arrested. So the fact that he wasn't cooperating at all, and all of a sudden, just in 2 weeks, 14 people have their phone numbers and IP addresses and maybe other information handed over is, yeah, there goes Telegram. Woo! There it went. It's dying. It died. Okay. Now, presumably, hopefully, these are like U.S. law enforcement following up on actual real crimes, not nonsense. But we'll see what happens down the road with that. So just be aware that they are now singing like a jailbird over there, and this is one of the things I predicted. Now my last prediction has to come true, that they let him go, they close the investigation, they let him go with a fine. He'll pay a little bit of a fine and then he'll be free to go, but now he will be completely in the back pocket of law enforcement all around the world. So that's my prediction. We'll see if that happens. Of course, I did predict that they were going to start handing over data. So prediction 1 fulfilled, 1 more to go. Let's see how long before that happens. Well, this is a fun one. If you have a Kia car, sorry. Now, this is a vulnerability that was responsibly disclosed and Kia fixed it. This was a vulnerability not necessarily in your car as much as it was in their Kia database, but also let it be mindful of this, that any Kia dealership in the world can actually remotely unlock your car and do fun shenanigans. These hackers found this out, but they found out by finding a way into there, setting themselves up as one of those dealers, and then getting access to all of the databases. Whoops! Now it's just a simple matter of running a little bit of an AI platform to reverse a license plate into a VIN number utilizing one of the several public databases, and booyah! You see a car with a license plate, they wrote a little software package, they drive down the street, you see a Kia, enter the license plate number, give it like 30 seconds, push a button, and the doors will unlock. Now, this is one of the things that I had mentioned this before. It bears mentioning it again. In one of those left-wing, right-wing debates, several of the more left-leaning cities were suing a Kia and Hyundai because their cars were too easy to steal. And of course, people on the right wing were saying, just arrest the car thieves. Well, I completely agree. We do need to arrest and jail and keep imprisoned the car thieves. That will actually prevent cars from being stolen and hijacked and keep criminals off the street. I completely agree with that. However, to the left-leaning cities' defense, the security of Kia and Hyundai cars is absolutely atrocious. They needed to be sued. So yes, the car companies do need to be sued for their stupidity and doing the massive insecurity. But yes, the cities do also need to arrest criminals prosecute them as criminals committing actual felonies and lock them in jail for a while. They might become hardened criminals in jail, but you're going to keep them off the streets. And that's, this is why we need to have a little bit of a more civil conversation rather than running right to this end or right to that end. Got to meet a little bit in the middle there. Yes, sue Kia and Hyundai, but also, yes, lock up the criminals. Let's do both and, okay? Because they really do have atrocious security. So any Kia built after 2013, all they needed was a license plate number to get in here. So now all you need to do is enter in the license plate number, get the VIN number out of it, run it through your exploit tool, and then all of a sudden, boom, you have full access to everything going on. So what they're doing here is these cars are fundamentally insecure with this principle, and so what ended up having to do is they just had to make the update to, in this case, their back-end website and the endpoints for the dealerships. And then as the dealerships happened to have this error where they could literally access any and every car, and then the dealership, without the approval of the car owner, could escalate themselves as a primary account holder on the account. So apparently Kia has fixed this particular error, but this is one of these errors. It's like, why did this even happen? How did this even happen in all reality? So that is what Kia is up to. Of course, PayPal now wants to share all of your data. There are some things you can do. So they changed, if you might have received recently, a change in your policy by default. And what ended up happening here is they made this change, and as they made the change, then what it means is they're going to start taking all of the data that you have and start handing it over to third-party merchants to help improve your shopping experience, make it more personalized for you. Hey, PayPal, go jump off a cliff. I would say harsher things, but I do still try and keep this a family-friendly channel. I mean, you don't really want me to say the word. I mean, I guess some of you guys probably do want me. If I started using the words that were actually on my heart right now, I'd probably have a massive increase in audience, but I still try to keep this place family friendly around here. So they basically issued a change, and they are going to start sending data to third-party merchants about everything you use your PayPal account for, in hopes that this is going to help better target you with advertising. This is why we need our government to step in and start saying, okay, we need to stop all of this data sharing between all of these companies. It just needs to stop. Just stop. This is getting ridiculous. When I can't go in and simply use a PayPal account for simple payments and not have that data protected from some massive third-party conglomerates from creating a line item in their database of the things that I like to buy with my account. We are in this era that is so toxically dangerous. It is ridiculous. We need to address this as a nation. We need to do something about it. Now, what you can do about this right now, if you still do have a PayPal account, you can go into your settings, and depending on which country you're in, it's in a different place. Here in the United States, you go into your settings, and there is a privacy tab, and you can disable the button that will allow you to do that. Now, I think all their instructions here are for the app. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same place or a different place on a web-based system. But you go to your, let's see, there's UK. If you're in the US, head to your settings, go to data and privacy. Under manage shared info, click on personalized shopping. You should see the option enabled by default. Toggle off the button. In the UK, settings, data, and privacy, under manage settings, there's interest-based marketing, and then you'll have interest-based marketing on PayPal, interest-based marketing. You need to go into each of those and disable the crap. And then preferably you should just delete your PayPal account. But, unfortunately, sometimes we need to have those in our stupid current world. But there you have it, guys. There's PayPal. And now, welcome to Dox-O-vision. So Ray-Ban and Meta are teaming up to produce these slick and amazing smart glasses for augmented reality. These are going to come up later on in our news in our AI section. And so as we see more going on, but what these guys are doing here, this is a project from a pair of college students that are showing just how dangerous this technology is. What they did is they coupled the data coming in on these glasses with an app that they created on their phone, and the app goes through live facial recognition databases, and as all they're doing is walking through a crowd, and the glasses will be taking pictures and videos of people without their consent, which in the United States, if you're walking down a public street, there's no expectation of privacy. It's one thing if you have no expectation of privacy. It's another thing if your photos are being taken and collected and analyzed by AI without your consent. I think that we need to revisit that because of the proliferation of AI in public spaces. But then the phone will give you a list of everybody you've walked by, attaching to all of these, once again, data collection resources, so you can get somebody's name and phone number and address and everything just by walking by them with these particular glasses. I think this is the post here where they actually showed how the concept works. I think this was it.
Glasses that let you identify anybody on the street. The information our tool collects from just a photo of your face is staggering.
So here they're basically just walking down the street.
Glasses on. Then as you walk by,
you put glasses on, and it's simply detecting people's faces. It'll find a series of other photographs about them. Here's the address, the phone number, all the contact information, everything about these people by simply walking down the street wearing the Dox-O-vision Meta Ray-Ban glasses. So at some point in time, I think you get caught up in somebody's database who's doing this type of stuff. It'd be really interesting to see a massive class action lawsuit against, both companies, jointly and severally liable. I'm suing you for $500 million for using my images and likeness without my permission. If I use you and, without your consent as a model on a TV show, you could be sued for millions. I think about the same thing should be applicable here. So, they say that this group here says their goal is not to release a product or code, but this is meant to be a demonstration to raise awareness of what's possible with today's consumer tech. And that in and of itself is a very terrifying and frightening thing. With that, we're going to jump on over into our security news next. And first up in our security news, we have a breach at UMC Health System. I think this is in Amarillo. This might actually be the one clinic I stopped in Amarillo at one point in time because I had this infection and I couldn't get into anywhere else, get it taken care of. This is where the brand new PA is like, you have pre-hypertension. Maybe we should get that treated. Like, go piss off, you moron. Pre-hypertension. Let's see. I came in here for a reason. Oh, a mouth infection. Yes, I've had a mouth infection for like 25 hours now. I've also had 2 pots of coffee and haven't slept in that much time. Yeah, what do you think my blood pressure's doing, you idiot? FYI, I have normal blood pressure. It is very close to 120/80. Of course, it was even close to that when I was in there. But yeah, this place, they were hit by a ransomware attack, and in response to this, they actually had to start redistributing patients to other hospitals in the area, which obviously hurt the medical treatment of people in this area. I got news. I am under the opinion that if you happen to commit some form of cyber attack on a hospital and we find who you are, it should be an immediate extradition and execution. You're done. You're trying to mess with people's medical systems, especially since the same group that did this also hacked a children's hospital in Chicago. You start hacking children's hospital, you're going to put serious lives in jeopardy. I'm sorry, you are a garbage human being who does not deserve to suck air anymore. Okay, at the hands of the state. We're not calling for any vigilantism yet, but we need to send a very strong message. Oh, I'm getting executed tomorrow. I cyber attacked a hospital. Oh, these guys mean business. Maybe we need to start thinking about that kind of stuff. We start giving these people serious consequences rather than giving them a small fraction of the fine that they, a small fraction of what they actually earned by their illegal exploits. And, maybe we might actually start seeing real things done. Here's a thought. Criminals commit crime because it's profitable. Get rid of the profitability factor and crime goes down. All right. Next up, this guy here, a crook made millions by breaking into executives' Office 365 inboxes. Now, this is not necessarily a vulnerability in Office 365. They said that he apparently had access to the phone numbers that were used for 2FA for these. I'm not sure if that meant he did a phone SIM swapping attack, or maybe he was a janitor at the building. We don't know, but he specifically targeted executives in a financial institution, like a stock trade institution. And he specifically hacked into the the executive suite's accounts to look for drafts of emails with stock reports, and then utilizing the information, he traded on the stock reports, earning $3.75 million in 2019 and 2020. I mean, hey, this is just creative stock earning. Nancy Pelosi does this and she's called a politician. This guy does this and he's called a criminal. What's really the difference? I mean, really? But of course, the challenge is that he did hack into people's accounts. Apparently, he had maybe they don't even know how he got in here. They know that he used the password reset function, so that means that he had access to some form of MFA verification. They didn't indicate in the article exactly who he was in relationship to these people. Like I said, if he was like a custodian or something, it makes sense if he might have access to some such information. I don't know. It didn't specifically say, but he did end up making himself $3.5 million, and so the Securities and Fraud carries a penalty of up to 20 years and $5 million in fines. So wire fraud is 20 years and fine of either $250 or twice the gain or loss from the offense, whichever is greatest. So in this case here, you see this type of crime, it actually doesn't pay to do. The challenge is that most crime it does. We need to have more laws like this. Okay, if you willingly commit a crime that is some financial windfall for you, your penalty should be, and it shouldn't be twice, it should be 3 times. Let's go biblical here. 3 times what the offense cost the victim. That's what you need to pay back. Well, I don't have that much money. Well, you should have thought about that beforehand, you moron. So there's that one. And this is an interesting one. I wanted to include it because these guys, spammers, are using thousands of fake Microsoft emails. Now, these are not originating from Microsoft, but these are very, very convincing spoofs. And they are phishing emails, and it is getting harder to detect these, mostly because of the AI being used. So they are saying here that in the report, researchers said just in September, its service caught more than 5,000 emails. They were masquerading as notifications from Microsoft services, of course, being as that Microsoft services are there, which is kind of pissing me off because Microsoft itself is so stupid. They are actually blocking most people that are not using one of the big 3 email systems. And of course, they do not, which I think is a violation. Actually, I'm still looking into it, but I can't email anybody on Microsoft accounts, and there's no way in the bounce back to reach out to Microsoft to say, hey, you're blocking this account in error. They do not have a way to verify that. But meanwhile, their servers are constantly malicious themselves, and of course, they're being masqueraded as issues. I don't think that my one little server that might send a email to Microsoft once a month is actually a threat. I mean, really. But they did mention that a lot of the AI is being used to fight this, but also a lot of the AI is being used to make them much more convincing of email hacks. So whatever that happens to be worth. With that, we're going to jump on over to our AI news next. So we just have 2 AI stories. And this one, we return once again to those Meta smart glasses, because Meta is not going to say whether it trains AI on the photos and the videos taken by smart glasses. They've been asked, and Meta's just being super cagey about it, which kind of means yes. Being is that Meta is using your Facebook and your Instagram and your WhatsApp posts in order to train AI. Yes, they're going to be probably using all of the information in this. They just don't really want to tell you that quite yet. So, there's an update here. Hold on. This update is from before or after I read this last night. Meta responded to TechCrunch with more information about when it trains AI on the photos and when it doesn't. You can read about that here. Okay, this is new. This was not here when I read the articles last night. So, Meta's new glasses have a discrete camera on the front for taking photos, not just when you ask them to, but also when their AI features trigger it. So you can use AI features to trigger it. Like, look at that ugly dude wearing that Switch to Linux hat. Jeez, I mean, come on. Of course, that will only trigger if it's looking at me, not my audience that has bought a Switch to Linux hat, because, I got to be the ugliest of all of us here, right? Anyway, we're not publicly discussing this, they said, working on the AI wearables. That's not something we typically share externally. Yeah, we just shared it everywhere else. Let's see. Meta confirms. This is the new article. This is actually from a couple days ago. Why did I not see this update? Maybe they just didn't link it. Meta confirms it may train its AI on any image you ask Ray-Ban Meta AI to analyze. Who would think that Meta is utilizing the images you run through AI to train their AI? This just took a rocket scientist. I mean, I know why I didn't see it. I was too intellectually intimidated by the hypothesis that this was actually going to happen. Well, anyway, they were being super cagey about whether or not they're actually going to be training any of the photos taken by these things, but indeed they are. Isn't that exciting? Not to mention Google. Google announces major AI improvement coming to search. You can't avoid artificial intelligence anymore. Yeah, I can. I haven't used Google in a long time. So, as long as I'm not using Google, I think I'm probably safe from this. I don't know. Of course, everyone else is trying to cram it in there as well. I'm talking to you, Brave. Get that ability to toggle that crap entirely out of there. So anyway, at an AI turning point, what they're basically doing here is, of course, initially they rolled this out where you'd search for something, it's going to give you AI stuff, and you'd have to go a few tabs over and hit the web search to actually get just what's the basic web searching engine. Well, now, anytime you're doing a search, it's now utilizing AI to sort everything based on what it thinks you want to see. Of course, with the people paying to be in the highest place, clearly being in the highest place, because, that's how you get to the top of Google these days. It's called money. So Google search will now be organizing by AI, helping you get the results you want faster. You know what results I want, Google? I want the exact order of what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not what I prefer or what you think I prefer. The order of relevance to my search term. That's what I would like to see at the top, Google. Relevance to my search term. That is what you should be showing me. They did announce a new design for the AI overviews that bring links and summaries and make it easier for users across websites to know what they're looking for. This is an abomination, guys. They are actually starting with like recipes and stuff for some reason. Oh, God. Although, I don't know, the website recipes, recipe websites on the internet are abominations anyway, so I'm not sure. This might actually be an improvement over that sector. I'm not sure. Maybe this is going to be the thing that pulls me into AI. Recipes are actually functionally usable. You click on a recipe and it gives you like 50 pages of backstory. I don't give a crap. Just tell me how to make the damn thing. Hit like if you agree. But they are talking about they're wanting to do this. Now they have the circle click, and here you can just click the button and listen to music or whatever else. That'll come back later on in the news. But they're basically cramming AI into anything and everything, of course, having to ramp up nuclear power to manage all this AI stuff because, that's how much power it takes, guys. Like, who would have thunk it? They're just like, we got to figure out the power situation. We got to figure out the power situation. They're realizing green energy is not going to do it. Let's kick on nuclear. Of course, nuclear is one of the best green energies when you do it right. But they're like, we can't do windmills and hydroelectric and stuff. We are too power intensive for those industries. And so now we're actually starting to see the nuclear power plants coming back online thanks to AI. So whatever you think about that. If you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we're highlighting DigitalOcean. You can use our affiliate code there, tlm.li/DOH. That's going to give you $200 in credit, good for 60 days to spin up as many little droplets as you want to play around with. And then you can, after the 30 days are up, or is it 60 days? I think it's 60 days. Sorry, it's 60 days. $200 for 60 days. After you're done with that, you pay for what you want to keep going. And once you start paying for yours, they're going to send me a $25 credit. So it benefits the channel if you are looking for a cloud solution options. tlm.li/DOH. And with that, let's have a look over at business news next. First up in business news, Cruise gets a $1.5 million penalty for keeping the pedestrian crash details from safety regulators. Of course, this comes after Cruise is back allowed on the streets again. Hey, come on back to our streets. Oh, we're just going to charge you $1.5 million for dragging that pedestrian under your car. Thump, thump. What was that? I don't know, man. So General Motors self-driving subsidiary Cruise must pay $1.5 million penalty to the NHTSA after its initial reports of the safety regulator with last year's pedestrian crash omitted that the company Robotaxi dragged the woman for 20 feet. We just hit her. We didn't drag her, honest. So the penalty is part of a consent order announced by the regulator on Monday. The order, which the company and NHTSA mutually agreed to, will also require Cruise to submit coercive action plan outlining the changes it has made to better comply with the regulator. So, of course, they'll have to submit the safety reports to regulators every 90 days over the next 2 years. But hey, they're still allowed to drive. We'll just run you over and drag you for 20 feet down the road. But that's okay. We need all of that data to sell the better self-driving cars so that we can own all the cars. You don't need to own a car. It's just too expensive to own a car. By the way, by 2030, you will own nothing, and you're going to be very happy about that. No, thank you. Well, a top EU court advisor explains why video game cheats are not copyright infringements. Of course, the video game companies are mad anytime somebody tries to jump in here with game cheating and such and ban and ban and ban. Well, they were finally sued, and they did lose a case in a lower court, but it was elevated up to a higher court on appeal. And the judge is starting to talk in here, made a lot of sense. Basically saying that if people want to use cheat functions on a game, that's not a copyright infringement. And that's what the gaming company was trying to say. They're infringing our copyright. Well, the judge says no, they're just adding an extra application that also stores in the RAM, just like your video game. And it doesn't modify any of the game's original code. It just modifies the results of it. Like, you can't sue people over this kind of stuff. Now, I'm not sure if that means that they can't go ahead and prevent the game from accepting the cheats if they have a way to detect what's going on and tweak the game to stop it from allowing the cheats. That's probably allowable, but you can't restrict the players from utilizing cheats in the game because it's not actually changing any of their code. So a very interesting read to see. So I'll be kind of curious to see where that happens down the road. But for the most part, though, that's a pretty interesting story. California has a new law that I can kind of agree with. See, hell is freezing over. I'm agreeing with something California is doing. So this is a new law that applies to digital stores or selling things, kind of like Amazon and stuff like this. The law, you cannot say you're selling content anymore. It cannot use the words buying. It has to use the word licensing. So that hopefully now people will start saying, well, what does that mean? And they realize that just means that I will not actually have full access to this particular item, in which case then they're going to maybe hopefully think twice about it and maybe go back to more digital systems. Of course, we're not covering the article here, but somebody had their YouTube video on jellyfin community struck down. It was restored. That's kind of why I didn't decide to talk about it, but it's very close related to this, that if you are sick of all of this licensing crap and all of these services and subscriptions, you can just spin up a jellyfin server, either locally or on a cloud. You can populate it with digital copies of things you actually own, not license, but actually own, and then you can actually have your own personal streaming service. Of course, if it's just on a local home server, you can access it on any device in your home local network. Of course, if it's on the cloud, you can actually access that anywhere you would like. You can't access the one that's just at home if you have your own personal VPN into your home office. That's also a doable thing. But this new California law forces the digital stores to say they're not selling you content, they're licensing you content. So they will not be able to use the words buy or purchase unless they make the disclosures. So with this, he signed the law AB 2426. Totally shocked we have a bill in California like this, but anyway, to combat disappearing purchases of digital games, movies, music, and ebooks. Legislation will force storefronts to tell customers they're just getting a license to use the media rather than suggesting they actually own it. So the downside is it doesn't actually force companies to sell a copy of a game digitally that they can actually own. It's just admitting that it's licensed and not actually owned. And maybe, of course, this might actually lend itself to in some cases, people understanding, but it might actually help companies like Sony when they're going to delete everybody's content that they've quote unquote bought, because, on page 25 of the EULA, it said you're just licensing it, not actually buying it. And maybe this just makes it easier for those companies to be able to screw you over better, but at least you've had disclosure and you've had the ability to choose whether you want to license something or not, but you don't have any misgivings that you're actually buying to own that data. It would be nice if they force companies to have a purchase option, but we know that that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. When the law comes into effect next year, it will ban digital storefronts from using the terms like buy or purchase unless they inform customers they're not getting unrestricted access to whatever they're buying. Storefronts will have to tell customers they're getting a license that can be revoked, as well as provide a list of all restrictions that come along with it. Companies that break the rule can be fined for false advertising. New law will not apply to stores that offer permanent offline downloads and come as a direct response to companies like PlayStation and Ubisoft. In April, Ubisoft started deleting the crew from players' accounts after shutting down the servers for the online-only game. Last year, Sony said it would remove the purchased Discovery content from users' PlayStation libraries before walking back the move. As retailers continue to pivot away from selling physical media, the need for consumer protections on the purchase of digital media has become increasingly more important. California Assembly member Jacqueline Irwin said in the press release, "I thank the governor for signing AB 2426 to ensure false and deceptive advertising from sellers of digital media incorrectly telling customers they'll own purchases becomes a thing of the past." So I actually generally support the law. I think this is a good option. So for whatever that is worth. And on to our final story. Cloudflare officially sucks less now. I mean, I got to say, I've been critical over Cloudflare for years. I do think that we place too much faith and trust in Cloudflare. We have seen cases where their services have led to massive disruptions in server technologies. However, all of that being said, I have to admit right now Cloudflare sucks a whole lot less than it used to. All right. So, this deals with the patent troll Sable, which serves no other purpose than to be a patent troll suing dozens and dozens of companies, just hoping for a giant payout. And so they've actually sued a number of big companies who just turned around and settled with them, saying, okay, whatever, we're not going to get involved in legal litigation. Cloudflare's like, no, I'm not going to play your game. We're going to sue you back, and then we're going to ask all of our users to provide every instance of anything that even looks like any patent that they have so that we can go after them. And there end up being some really nice and spicy things that in the cross-examination, so they brought in an expert to show how Cloudflare's system was different than certain patents, even though they somewhat looked a little bit the same. But you can see here that the patent, they were saying that it does uses specific microflows, whereas Cloudflare was using a different packet type approach. And so effectively saying that it's quite a bit different. They talked about 25 different steps that makes it all different. And then they actually had some very fascinating things down here. So with this, the lawyers in cross-examination say, I mean, that's your business, so don't beat around the bush. You're in the business of filing lawsuits. The guy says yes. And you would agree with me that you've been in that business for a while, right? Yes. Now, there's a whole lot more back and forth down here, but in response to all of this, effectively the jury comes in and says, so this is a company that serves no other purpose than to sue people for alleged patent infringement. So the jury decides to side with Cloudflare and Sable, because effectively if Sable even goes to trial, they start losing money. Their entire thing is to threaten a company with a lawsuit and settle out of court and thereby make a lot of money. Well, these guys were not dealing with it. Cloudflare says, no, we have very deep pockets. So we're going to go ahead and sue the pants off of you every way to sundown. And then they slap these dudes so silly. What ended up happening is in the end, Sable agreed to pay Cloudflare $225,000 and grant Cloudflare a royalty-free license of its entire patent portfolio and dedicate its patents to the public, ensuring that Sable can never again assert them against another company. Effectively, Sable just died. So Cloudflare sucks less now. They took out a patent troll. And hopefully they'll just start proactively suing other patent trolls too. That'd be totally awesome. They should start like looking at some of the other patents that are doing close and develop something that is close enough to it that looks the same, but not close enough that it is the same. And then see if they can't bait some of these other patent trolls to come out. And if Cloudflare rids the world of physical patent trolls, I might actually start buying their services, even though I kind of hate them. So I don't know, guys. This is amazing. I love this. Chef's kiss to Cloudflare in this reaction here. Let me know your thoughts on that one down below. All right, now let's head over to your favorite place and mine. Let's have a look over at SillyVille. First up, even the robots are protesting against Kamala Harris. So there was a Waymo Robotaxi that gets stuck making a U-turn in front of Kamala Harris's motorcade, in San Francisco. So here's the vice president's coming down, and the robot's like, the vice president Kamala Harris trying to pass? Oh, hell no. Gets in the middle and starts doing this blockade. No, ain't voting for her. I'm a Trump car, you know. And so what ended up happening is a San Francisco police officer had to manually get in the car and drive it out of the way of the motorcade. So there you go, guys. Even the robots are against Kamala Harris. So whatever that happens to be worth. Anyway, Meta has its brand new amazing glasses, which are absolutely crazy, psychopathic, and dystopian. Apple's like, hold my beer, yo. They're actually looking at a way of cramming cameras and AI into the AirPods. That's all we need. People with these little white things sticking out of their ears with cameras and artificial intelligence pointing at us. At what point in time does this end? People, do we really need eyeballs in our ears? Do we really have to have cameras and AI in every functional corner of society? I swear, we have got to get to the point when nobody's allowed to have this type of crap inside of public. This is going too far. Glasses and little AI headsets with cameras and microphones and AI crap all over them. What in the hell is the purpose of this? Are you a perpetual retard? Is there a real use case need to have cameras and artificial intelligence on the crap you're sticking in your ears? Oh my Lord. This is just, this timeline is getting crazy, folks. This timeline is getting crazy. Let's move to something a little bit less crazy. Well, you've all heard of those, the devices they put in some of the big cities to detect gunshots. Well, this guy decided that he's going to go to like a culture-rich area of, I think this was San Francisco, and he's going to put a bop detector. Instead of detecting gunshots, this just detects music and beats. And so what he did is high on a pole somewhere down here in San Francisco, he has a little device. It's based on just a cheap Android phone with a microphone facing toward the street and a solar panel to keep it charged. And then what he's then able to do with this is he'll just have the thing constantly playing with the Shazam service playing, and then he has written a script which will focus all of the results back into a website. And so whatever is going on down on the street, anybody can go ahead and have a look and listen to the microphone. So I think this is about 1 hour behind because that's kind of what it was here. So right now it's 9:24 when I'm recording this Eastern, which is that's 6:24 in California time. So the last reported thing here was today at 4:17, which is 2 hours ago as of right now. So this thing will constantly be listening. So this is the Riley Waltz Bop Spotter. I installed the box high up on a pole somewhere in the Mission of San Francisco. Inside is a crappy Android phone set to Shazam constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's solar powered and the mic is pointed down at the street below. Heard of Shot Spotter? Microphones are installed across cities, United States by police to detect gunshots, purported to not be very accurate. But this is that, but for music. The cultural surveillance, this is cultural surveillance. No one notices, no one consents, but it's not about catching the criminals. It's about catching the vibes. Constant feed of what's popping off in real time. So the latest one is El Telefono. No idea. But there is that. And so here is this. We got right. Oh, this is finally a song I recognize, at least. Oh, an artist, DMX. Tenor Saw. So you can kind of see that it's just randomly picking up whatever is being played out there on the street. So very interesting to see. So you can actually go back. So here's from there. So 11 p.m. Let's see, 9. I think the last one I saw was 6:48. I think this was the last one I saw when I was reading the news last night. The Mevita. And then it was "Where Is Love" by the Black Eyed Peas played on over. So it's over here just kind of listening to what's going on the streets below. Very fascinating idea there. All right, and on to our final one. California is finally figuring out a way to handle its extraordinarily sensitive power grid. It's just going to force you to reverse your car's electricity back onto the grid when the entire grid shuts down because of their sheer mismanagement. So bidirectional charging may soon be required on EVs due to a new California law. So bidirectional means that the car can take a charge into it, but the car can also output a charge out of it. And so it basically turns the car into a giant battery backup. And this would allow you to plug a device into your car, or in some cases, they might be like, all right, everybody's got to plug your car back into the grid so we can borrow your car's electricity because our grid is under deep strain. I'd probably recommend not doing that. Then, you're giving up your batteries, back to the grid, and now you're just going to be out of luck. And I have a sneaky suspicion California's not going to pay you for borrowing your own electricity to serve its own purposes. Now, if you're using it to power something of your own, that's a different story. But if they're asking you to put it back in the grid, which this law is requiring you to be able to do, then not really interested. No. But that is really what they're trying to do. They're trying to force everybody's EVs to feed power back in the grid because their grid is so weak. They have to have something to do, and all of these batteries are running around storing energy all over the place. Oh my Lord, very screwed up place California is, I gotta say. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Subscribe Star page. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, we do have a Subscribe Star page. I actually pulled up the locals page information. Yes, we are on Subscribe Star too. Subscribestar.com/switchtolinux. But today was featuring the locals page. That's what I was trying to do anyway. switchtolinux.locals.com. We do have our new short story is up there for the week. So you can go ahead and have a look over there. The download for the audiobook on that is available until October 31st. We are going to start working on the next short story for this month soon here. And that will be information will be over there on locals. With that, guys, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.